Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Vegan Stephen Awakening event called Be the Change, the Vegan Awakening. The first thing I like to do is to thank the owners of Lotus, Patrick and Lynn, their daughters, Mary and Sophia, that are here. They've come in on their day off to help with this event. And this is the first event that we're having. So Patrick, Lynn, thank you. The crowd the door isn't busting open here this afternoon, but that's okay. We start with one. And people ask me, how many people are coming? I said, I don't know. I've got a few reservations, but I don't know. Will people show up at the door? I'll speak to one person. My name is Steve Korossy. I'm 48 years old. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. At the age of 8, I saw slaughterhouse pictures in a magazine, and I never ate animals again. As a child, I loved animals. I loved when we went on field trips with school to the zoo because I loved animals. I went against everyone in my family, my friends, because I was the only one who didn't eat animals. I went in elementary school, I was one of 500 students. I was the only vegetarian. I was the weird one. In high school, I went to an all-boys Catholic high school. I wasn't even Catholic, so that already made me the weird one. But then not eating animals in Cleveland, Ohio, Midwest USA, well, made me even more weird. So then, when I was 26, actually let's go back to when I was 21, my first daughter was about to be born, Kristen. And I did a lot of research into different topics. And I quickly learned the hell of earth that goes on in the dairy industry and immediately cut that out as well. I was horrified. And I wanted to raise my children with a certain set of values. To love all animals, the compassion that we're born with as humans. Little children, they love animals. They want to play with them and protect them. But yet, because of culture, religion, tradition, and advertising, certain animals are loved, like dogs and cats in this country. But the rest are treated like mere products. Their lives are devalued simply by words that we use in every day. I hear it all the time. And when I call it out, I'm called extreme. But I call it out when animals are referred to as it. When somebody refers to an animal as it, it's automatically in language just devaluing the life of that animal. Animals are not it. Paper is it. A glass is it. But animals, they all feel pain. They all were put in this world the same way we were. Now we can debate religious teachings and different cultural beliefs of creation and why we are here. But the basic fundamental right to be here is for all of us, not just the ones that look like us. Treat others the way you want to be treated is the basic foundation of literally every religion, except it's not applied. We talk about what goes on in some Asian countries where they eat dogs and cats. And in this country, people, when they hear that, they get very repulsed and upset. Well, that's the same feeling I have. The cows, the pigs, the chickens, the turkeys, the sheep, the goats. Why do we love some, like dogs, cats, dolphins, and the ducks that cross the road? But we treat the others as if their life didn't matter. One of the phrases that I use is that we are right now living in the greatest animal holocaust at any point in history. There's been no time in the history of humans that I'm aware where animals were systematically raped, their young stolen from them, so their milk, for example, with cows, can be put into a container and frozen to make a product. And most people are disconnected from this. And this is why I'm here today as I wear it on my sleeve. I got this vegan tattoo about 5 years ago. And I talk about vegan every single day. The first thing I want to say about vegan is not a diet. Let me repeat that. Vegan is not a diet. Vegan boils down to a couple sentences. It's really easy. It's a fundamental belief in the sanctity of life for all of the sentient animals that live in this world. And they have every right to live in this world and not be brutalized by human behavior and addiction. Most anybody, if they sit here and they look across the street and they see a dog getting hit with a stick, most people are naturally going to want to go help that dog. But right behind that dog getting hit is the Burger King, where millions and billions of animals are chopped up and made into products. I hear it a lot that my words are extreme because I speak for the animals. And I tell people, if it was your mother or your sister or your daughter hanging upside down in the kill line, about to get their throat slit and their body cut into pieces, would you speak softly and quietly, or would you speak loudly? One of the things that I get frequently is, what's the hardest thing about being vegan? Who wants to take a stab at that answer? I'm going to pick you. What's the hardest thing about being vegan?
I would say, like, living in a society, seeing it through different lenses, seeing the people you love consuming these sentient beings that you see as sentient beings, but most of society sees them as, products, property, and disposable objects, basically.
I would very much agree, but I'm going to add a little bit to it. The hardest thing is, for me, being vegan now, I've been vegan 28 years, and I was vegetarian for 13 years as a kid. So I've been a vegan since long before it was cool, but the hardest thing for me is being able to put on a smile and a happy face in dealing with 99% of humans when they cause animal suffering simply by their behavior, that they refuse to change. Most people agree with me with what I said, but they can't shift. So when I mention that vegan is not a diet, I hear it all the time from people when they say that they're vegan, but then their life and their daily behaviors don't fall in line with that. They still want to act like they're part of everybody else. And I think that's natural in all animals, including humans, that we want to fit into our environment. Being vegan is almost like we're hybrids, because we don't want to fit in with everybody else. We see something, we see an injustice, we speak up. So we don't want to fit in. So to be vegan, you have to have a tinge of rebelliousness, that you don't want to fit in. The way animals are treated starts the day one the child is born, what they're taught. Because a young child, they look at animals like they're friends. They want to play with them and protect them. They don't want to see them chopped up. They don't know. And then because of culture and religion and tradition and advertising now, they're raised on a certain set of actions and behaviors over many years throughout childhood. It's what holiday is it? What animal's going to get chopped up? Oh, Thanksgiving, got to massacre a bunch of birds. Got to do it. It's tradition. Well, if we're doing things as a civilized society that we used to always do, then why are we showering in a house? Why are we wiping our ass if we should be doing it like the cavemen did it? And no injustice has ever ended until enough people collectively stood up and said, we will not tolerate this in a civilized society. A word that I frequently use is called the Matrix. Who's seen the movie The Matrix? You seen it? All right. The Matrix is all around. Every sign, everywhere we look, even over my shoulder, KFC right here is telling you. And what do people associate it with? Their memories from when they were younger, when they hang out with their family, when they go to football games, when they celebrate. It's all about what are we doing to to these animals. But then if you have a person like me that speaks up and calls it out, I'm the extremist. And to the people that say, and I say this, I'm recording this, so I say this, but I say this to everybody. Those people that truly believe at their core that we're supposed to be doing these to sentient beings, I encourage them on Sunday, after they get out of church, take their 4-year-old child over to the slaughterhouse. Take them to the front of the kill line. Hold their hand, of course, for safety. And let them watch the sights, what goes on in the slaughterhouse, the screams that go on. Let them hear that. Let them hear the machines systematically killing these animals, one after another, after 100, after 1,000, after 1,000,000. Actually, death rids them of some suffering, unfortunately. When I go to Publix, for example, and I have to go down to aisle 6 to buy some rice, and I have to go down the back of the store, everybody's just getting their packages of dead animals. I picture what those animals went through. But most people don't make that connection. I've said, to be vegan, you don't even have to love animals. You just have to believe that they have the same right to live in this world as us. And we as humans should not be impeding on that. And we as humans should be protectors of the animals, the stewards of the world, protecting the animals, not causing them needless suffering. One of the things I really enjoy to do is to go down to the edge of the ocean, to watch the water, to watch the birds, to hear the wind, to watch the sunset. I love that. But I always feel let down, because everywhere I go, it seems like when there's humans around, here we go, this guy yanking the fish out of the water, that guy yanking fish out of the water, because they've been taught and conditioned to think that it's manly to yank fish out of the water. But if I took the same photo that a lot of manly men hold up in the air with their big fish, and let's say I did that with a dog, and I have a dog that I just killed and hold it up like this, would I be a crazy weirdo? I think so. There's a word that's used, it's called speciesism. It's about thinking one species is more dominant than the other. It's no different from racism, where you think one race is more dominant than another. And not only are they more dominant, they make the other species beneath them and not worth anything. It happened with women, and it still does today around the world. And it happens to these animals that don't speak like us. But anyone that's ever had an animal live with them in their lives, they know the impact that animal had on their life. They know the love when they come home, and that animal is eagerly waiting for them. They recognize it. Humans give animals names because we treat them as if they were our fellow brothers. Man's best friend is what? A dog. So let's not harm the dogs. Why don't we teach our children man's best friend is the animal kingdom? And we should be doing everything in our daily behavior to fall in line with that. So what is vegan? It is not a diet. I know a lot of people come over to the vegan world with diet as their number one motivation. And I have nothing against that. But merely eating a plant-based diet does not make one vegan. I can't stress that enough. I think that people who are not vegan and identify as vegan, but they don't live their life and their behaviors in accordance with that, are doing a disservice to the movement, because it's confusing people about the meaning of what it is to be vegan. Come up with another word, I don't care. But vegan is a big deal. So the word vegan was coined by Dr. Donald Watson in the 1940s in England. And Dr. Watson was an animal rights activist, but he was also a health nut. He didn't want to eat anything processed, but he was very frustrated that vegetarians were causing harm to animals through the dairy industry. So he coined the term vegan. Vegan is about the sanctity of life of the animals. That's where it starts. But if somebody comes over to see this side, and it is a side, it's a perspective, and they come over because of diet or health or the environment, that's all great. But I always say when somebody makes that jump, there's going to be some things that are going to change in your life. You go vegan, things got to change. You're not like these other people that still eat animals. You now have awakened. You've seen the light. So your daily behavior should fall in line with that. Every day, you don't buy cars with animal skin. Now sure, there's animal byproducts in the road, but if you can choose what to buy, this one has animal suffering directly, this one doesn't, why not promote the one that doesn't? It's just like going to the store. Everybody that eats animals said, well, top of the food chain, this is what we're supposed to do. Wait a minute, these guys out there in a tower with a rifle shooting these innocent deer in the field, for example, are not doing it to survive. They're doing it because they enjoy to kill. We wonder why there's so much violence in our society. Well, we're teaching our children violence. We're feeding our children violence. I hear it, from people. Like I said, I talk about it every day. And we talk about, well, you want to change what I eat. I don't care what somebody eats. And I tell them, somebody can take a dump in a bowl and you can eat it. I'll think it's weird, but I won't be up here giving a lecture on what you're eating. It's about the sanctity of life. It's because the screams, and I'm not going to play it today. I was going to play a 1-minute clip of just sounds from the slaughterhouse. No images, just sounds. So people hear the screams that go on and the sounds inside the slaughterhouse. I encourage you, go look at it and show your friends. Because that's the hell on earth that we, those of us that have seen the light, can make the shift. Mary and Sophia, they've been raised vegan, correct? From birth. I raised my children vegan from birth. When they were 5, before they started school, I sat my children down each time when they were 5, and I showed them slaughterhouse videos. And I said, this is why we don't eat animals, but everybody else around you will. And my friends who ate animals thought that was wrong of me to do. That I was forcing my views on my children. They didn't see the other side of it. We here, so we talked about the matrix. Let's talk about dealing with friends and family who eat animals. So I'll start with my experience. When I lived in Cleveland, that's where I grew up, all my friends ate animals. And I knew if we go out to a sports bar to watch a game, I'm at the bar drinking a beer, and they're over at the table eating the bird wings. I hated it, but I had the mindset that maybe it will change. As time went on, I realized they won't change. They knew when they came to my house, no victims. I didn't have much say when we were out. But what I do have a say in is who do I hang around? Because the old adage, you are who you roll with. And you can either be a follower or you can be a leader. And I've always gravitated more at being a leader. So being the change, I don't expect everybody who's vegan or an animal lover or an animal rights activist to be as loud and direct and vocal as me, because it may not fit you. But what you could do is in your daily behavior, carry yourself in accordance with the vegan philosophy. For example, I'll use an example from a few weeks ago. My friend Andy called me, sent me a message, hey, we're going to go out tonight to a karaoke bar. You want to meet us out? My response to him in the text message was, are you going to have a couple of drinks, or are you going to cause death and suffering to the animals? Because it's a cause and effect relationship. And he said, and he knows me, he said, no, we're just going for drinks. No problem. A couple weeks after this event, we went out again with some different friends of his. And Andy and I were there first. And Andy knows how I am now. His friends came, there was like 8 of us there at the table, chitting, talking. I go back in to get another drink. A couple of his friends went in to order, and they ordered dead animals. I knew my time was coming short. So we go back to the table, and as soon as I saw the waitress come in a few minutes later, I said, well, I'm out. You guys take care. And I left. Everybody's like, what? Where are you going? I'm sure Andy explained to them after I left. But now in my life, if there's a victim at the table, I am not there. I choose who I spend my time with. I choose who I'm with. So that I have control over. A quote that stuck with me a long time ago is be the change. You can't change the world, but you can change the world around you. So do it. It's just like, I'll use my friend Andy as an example again. We were talking about relationships. And what would be the perfect relationship for him? What qualities would this person have, this woman? And I'll turn it on everyone here. What qualities do you want from the people you associate with and spend your time with? Everybody says they don't want to make everybody upset because they're the only vegan and everybody else is, in their mind, normal. It's the other way around. We see something that they don't, or that they don't want to see. I choose who I spend time with. You choose who you spend time with. And I take my friends, I take my family who eats animals, I take them to 100% plant-based places. Now in my life, I won't eat at a place that has vegan options. Because number one, I worry about cross-contamination. Number two, I don't trust somebody with ingredients. Number three, I'd rather support the 100% plant-based businesses because I call them the pioneers in the matrix. They were doing something different. They're putting their livelihood on the line to be different. And all these other places, the Burger Kings, the KFCs, all the other ones, McDonald's, all of them have plenty of customers. They have 99% of the market share on them. We need to have our plant-based people supporting these plant-based businesses. And I always joke that food can't be vegan. Vegan is the philosophy about the animals. Food could be suitable for vegans. Food itself can't be vegan. So hanging out with your friends and family is a scenario that I would recommend. I'm not saying don't love your family. You can't control what your family members do, but you can control what you do. If they invite you over and there are dead animals there, you tell them you're not going to go because you don't support that. The same way, and this is an extreme example, so everyone hearing this is a trigger warning potentially. Let's say your family invites you over for a summer get-together, and everybody there is molesting little boys. Well, because that's normal to them. Except you, of course, because it goes against your moral beliefs. Isn't it by your presence and your silence support of the behavior going on? As horrible as child molestation is, what happens to the animals is many times worse. I also came up with a recent example. Let's say everybody knows a person like this that you grew up with, that maybe went down the wrong path, made some bad decisions, got involved with the wrong crowd, started robbing, stealing, drugs, etc., etc., etc. Later in life, you meet back up. Are you going to hang out with him in his apartment while he's counting the money of the purse he just stole from the grandmother who was walking your dog? I told you this is an extreme example. But you wouldn't go hang out with him because you'd be repulsed. If this friend said, hey, drive me up to the gas station, I'm going to go rob the gas station. And I might have to kill the guy to get the $500 from the cashier, but I need it. Would you take him? No. You draw a line in the sand that there's certain behaviors you won't put up with. Sometimes people won't even put up with certain behaviors from a religious aspect. So those of us that are vegan, those of us that are looking to come over to, I always say, the cool club, you've got to be that beacon of light for people. And you're not going to change people overnight. You're not. But you have to be that positive reinforcement. I take friends to plant-based places all the time. Why? Because they wouldn't go there if it wasn't for me. They go because I go. And I have a demand for how my time is spent. And the reality is most will never change. But I can't control it. Who Who's been vegan a long time? Who's been vegan over 5 years? Over 10 years? Over 10?
25.
25 years. All right. What's your name?
I'm Vivian.
Vivian?
Yeah.
Vivian, tell us real quick, in a few hundred words or less, what's your vegan story? What got you to change?
When I was teenage, I read a lot of Buddha's Bible. That's how I learned from. Yeah. And then I started reading since I was 16. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I love hearing stories like that. Usually the first question I ask somebody who's vegan pretty early on is, what's your vegan story? Because I'm always eager to learn what got you to shift, what got you to change from the world around you. It almost feels like it's a movie, and we're the only character. So one of the other recommendations I have, if somebody's new to vegan, or even a vegan veteran, is surround yourself with more vegans. Surround yourself with people who share your moral compass. And push some distance with people who are not. Why? Because it's going to force people to make a decision. Either for the brief moment of time that they have interacting with you, you have that impact. Or you can just, if I just went along with everybody else when they went to the bar to eat animals, and just went along with a happy face, the people I come in contact with would never know anything different. I was a cop for 15 years in my previous life, and a vegan cop up north in Midwest Ohio, like, come on. It's nobody would ever guess that I was vegan. My old chief used to say to me, how do you get so big on just vegetables? Well, you look at the giraffe, you look at the rhinoceros, you have the gorilla. These are just a few mammals that are the strongest animals per pound in the world, all plant-based. Another question I get a lot is, well, what about protein? Because that's the little money the water topic that the industry's put out there. Well, you must get your protein. Your body is only going to produce so much protein. The rest of it ends up in your toilet, right? So I talk to vegan bodybuilders, plant-based bodybuilders. They're ripped from plants. When we treat, it's a cause and effect. With the animals, they're counting on us to be their voice. They don't have a voice because they don't speak. Even human topics. That's why I'm a little doom and gloom on the topic. Because most people won't change. We can't have world peace if we treat innocent beings with barbarism. Hell, humans treat other humans with barbarism. Look at some of the events going on around the world. Where does it start? It starts with our children. Continuing the compassion that they're born with. Not programming them against it. I used to have my friends tell me, well, you don't take your kids to McDonald's? Nope. And my kids don't get all goo gaga about seeing the McDonald's symbol because they know they're going to get a Happy Meal toy every month either. But every commercial that we watch somehow is tied into animal agriculture. You can be watching a car insurance commercial, and then they'll show the guy in the commercial at the grill in the car insurance commercial. This is subliminal conditioning to make it normal. You have to open your eyes, open your mind, open your heart. And it's the basic foundation. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Find yourself more vegan friends. The transition is much easier that way. You know, like I said, when I was younger myself, I hung around with people who ate animals. Now in my life, if we're going to hang out, no witness. Live each day. What are we at on time here? What are we at? Ooh, almost right on the button, 30 minutes. All right. If you have questions, I'll be here. I have some shirts in the back if anybody's interested for $30. This is the same one I'm wearing now. Be a voice for the animals. don't hide the fact that you're vegan. Don't be quiet and shy. I met one of my good friends, Steve. I met him here during a buffet about 7 years ago. And he had a shirt that said Vegan Steven. And I said, how you doing? I'm Vegan Steven 2. And over here at the table, that's my son, Vegan Steven 3. So whenever we sat at a table, we called it the Vegan Steven table. But he told me when I first met him that he called himself a closet vegan. He wouldn't tell people because he was embarrassed because he was different. And he was always told that you have to do this to be strong. Now, he's much more vocal. But his switch, and I use this story because it's pretty cool. Who's heard of Gary Yourofsky? Yes. Gary Yourofsky's an animal rights activist. He's been arrested all over the place for his activism. And he would do lecture tours around the country at college campuses. And I'm a worshiper of Lord Yourofsky. That's a joke. But he says it like it is, so it kind of falls in line with my message. Because I never met anyone who went vegan because another vegan was nice to them. However, I met many people who went vegan when they finally learned the truth and they had it within themselves to make the change. But his story is cool because he said he was at home. He said he always knew what was wrong with having to eat animals, but he was always told he had to eat animals for strength and for health and all this stuff. Gary Yourofsky was doing a lecture tour in Israel, and my friend Steve is originally from Israel. So he was watching the commotion over in Israel because some college campuses weren't letting him come in because of the topic. So my buddy Steve, this is before I knew him, watched the 1 hour lecture by Gary Yourofsky. And he said he instantly made the connection. He cleared out his fridge that night. It was 9/9/2012. He never forgets that day. He actually refers to that as his birthday. And he talks about why he made the switch, because he finally made the connection that when he pays for it, it happens to the next one. So vegans, do not buy animal products for your friends because you're supporting the behavior. Be the change. Who's got a great vegan story? Karen, come on up. No? All right, I'll come to you. Tell everybody your vegan story, real quick. Your vegan story. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Your vegan story. Tell them.
I've been vegan 24 years. I would go through, drive through the countryside and see the animals with the tags on. And one day I was like, could I actually go up to that animal and just shoot from the body? And I could never do that. And it just, it clicked. I could not do that. I could not eat animals ever again.
And how long ago was that?
That was because I don't count the time I was vegetarian. I was vegetarian 5 years before I was vegan. So we didn't count.
She's been vegan 24 years and she has 4 children, all vegan since birth. So, and it's challenging in this world. Mary, come here, man. Come here, man. Come on. I told you I'm going to get you out of your shell. Come on. I want to hear from a young lady, a young woman now, who's 18 years old. I want to hear from you, your experiences growing up, being vegan, and everybody else around you is not.
It was obviously hard, but everything that I did, everything that I do, I have to go about it in a different way. But it was never something that I would try to hide away. Like I would let everybody know around me and always still try to do my best to be.
Did did you find it hard in when you went out with your friends and how you interacted with what they were doing and you obviously seeing a different perspective from what you learned at home?
Yes, it was hard because, I mean, I don't obviously eat out as much because there's not as many vegan
Really good.
the best one. But yes.
Thank you. Let's give Mary a round of applause. All the government sisters here. But I love hearing stories like this because they were raised with compassion. And it carries into the rest of their life. Mary's looking to become a physician assistant. That's her aspirations after college. So be the change. You are not different because you're vegan, but you are. Be that beacon of light for people and surround yourself with more vegans. If you're looking for plant-based food, Happy Cow app is an amazing app. You can find places pretty much anywhere. We are not cavemen anymore, ladies and gentlemen. We live in a civilized society. We shower inside. We don't need to be causing death and suffering to our fellow Earthlings. I always tell people lately too, my religion is Mother Earth. Thank you. And now that Patrick is here, let's give Patrick and Lynn and their family a great round of applause for them for having this event. We're hoping to do this monthly, so anybody that's interested in helping put more together, I could definitely use the help. And let's spread the message. If anything, this is a great place to be. I look to bring in speakers. You know, I'll sit down and be from your perspective and just enjoy the great event. So thank you again.